it's much too early in the game. Oh, but I thought I'd ask you just the same. What are you doing New Year's Eve? Who's gonna be the one to hold you tight when it's exactly 12 o'clock at night, welcoming in the new year, New Year's Eve? Baby, I'm crazy to suppose I'd never be the one you chose. Out of 1,000 invitations you'll receive. Oh, but in case I stand one little chance, here comes the jackpot question in advance. What are you doing New Year's Eve? What are you doing New Year's Eve?
Welcome to week 16 of the Marea and Friends concert series, and this episode is very exciting because it is the first episode of 2021. Woo woo! And this is also a very special episode because, as you can probably tell, we are not together in person this week, but we
side by side on your futon.
But we still managed to put this episode together, and we're so excited to share these pieces and our interview and collaboration with Cristina Cutts and Noah Dugan.
All right, let's hear a little bit about our two performers. Noah Dugan grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona, where he began the trumpet at 8 years old. Noah is a National Young Arts Medalist and has appeared playing in the Los Angeles Philharmonic, Houston Grand Opera, Youth Orchestra of the Americas, New World Symphony, and Spoleto USA. He was the runner-up in the undergraduate division of the National Trumpet Competition in 2013. In 2018, he was a winner of the Aspen Music Festival Concerto Competition. Noah received his bachelor's degree from the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia in 2017, where he was a pupil of David Bilger. He went on to graduate from the Colburn School with a Master's of Music in 2019, where he studied with Jim Wilt of the Los Angeles Philharmonic. Noah currently is a student of Barbara Butler and Charlie Geyer at Rice University, where he is pursuing a second master's in music. And now let's hear a little bit about Cristina. Cristina grew up in South Africa, England, New York, and New Mexico, and was the 2016 Tuba Young Artist winner of the International Tuba Euphonium Competition. In 2017, she won the grand prize in Pasadena Showcase Instrumental Competition, the first tubist in the history of the competition to do so and the youngest competitor in that year's final round. She has performed as a soloist at the Kennedy Center and with the Colburn Orchestra. Cristina was the tubist of the National Repertory Orchestra in 2018 and has been recognized as the National Young Arts Foundation competition medalist and is the 2020-2021 Tuba Fellow for the Music Academy of the West. She currently holds the position of Principal Tuba of Symphony in C in Camden, New Jersey, and in 2020 she joined the guest artist roster of the acclaimed Seraph Brass Quintet. In 2021, Cristina will be featured as a young artist in residence for the radio show Performance Today with Fred Childs. Cristina graduated with honors from Interlochen Arts Academy as a student of Thomas Riccobono and went to receive her Bachelor of Music from the Colburn School, studying with Norman Pearson of the Los Angeles Philharmonic. She is now a student of Craig Knox of the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra and Paul Svitsky of the Curtis Institute in Philadelphia, the first female tubist to attend the school since its founding in 1924.
Cristina Cutts and Noah Dugan are very hardworking and talented brass players, and we are super fortunate to be able to collaborate with them this evening. And I'm actually really looking forward to playing with both Cristina and Noah this summer at Music Academy of the West in Santa Barbara. And Cristina and I actually first met in summer of 2018 at NRO, National Repertory Orchestra in Breckenridge, and that's where Amelia is going to be this summer.
Yeah, and so it's been a lot of fun connecting virtually with both of them and kind of putting together a couple of pieces for tonight's episode. So before we get started, if you want to take a couple of moments and go to our website and purchase your $5 ticket for tonight's concert, it really means a lot to us and to the featured artists every week.
And before we get started, let's just take a minute, Amelia girl, to talk about our New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
For this new year of Marea and Friends, do you have any off the top of your head?
Yeah, well, I think one of my main ones, and we were just talking about this earlier, is to just do a better job of reaching out to people and really just like calling people on the phone. It's something that I don't do as often as I should. So something that I'm excited to do more of in the new year. And of course, like practicing more and making reads and really just being present in the moment because it's a crazy time and I want to be present with myself and my music playing. And yeah.
Oh, those are so good.
What about you?
Yeah, I would say those are pretty similar for me. Definitely reaching out to people. I feel like during this time, and especially when I'm at home, I feel like I get really in my pod, and I want to reach out more to people, and also I really want to enjoy this time that I am home in Iowa City, Iowa, with my parents and my new puppy named Otto. And I would say also just, being very intentional in my bassoon playing, my yoga practice, and first and foremost, my reed making in 2021. So,
yeah. So, without further ado, let's get started with our first episode of 2021. So this is week 16. We're back in 2021.
Yep.
Happy New Year. And we're here with Cristina and Noah.
Yeah, and I believe this is our first episode featuring brass players, so that's very exciting, and featuring two extremely talented brass players. Noah and Cristina were going to be fellows at Music Academy with me this summer, and I had the joy of being able to play with them virtually this summer, but hopefully we'll be able to play together again soon. It's great to be here with you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So if we could just start out by talking a little bit about both of your musical journeys, where you're from, and just a little bit about what you're up to right now.
So I was born in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I lived there until I was 18. And I started playing when I was 8 years old. Sort of following in the footsteps of my sister, who's a violist. She's 5 years older than me, and I always looked up to her. I always thought everything she did sounded amazing, and I just wanted to be part of that. And also, she had so many friends from playing music, and so that led me to join the youth orchestra here in Phoenix. And I was in that organization for probably 7 years. It was amazing. I really had my musical upbringing there. And then I did my undergrad at Curtis. I did a 5-year bachelor's there. And then I got my master's at Colburn. And then now I'm getting a second master's at Rice.
Could you tell us about a couple of the most meaningful moments of the time that you spent at those 3 schools?
Yeah.
I mean, they were all so different. They've all been so different.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people kind of lump Curtis and Colburn together, but they're vastly different places. Curtis is overrun by people between the ages of 16 and 19, and Colburn is predominantly people in their mid-20s. I don't know if it's always been that way, but that's definitely how it is now. Really, at Curtis, like, my experience there was kind of flying by the seat of my pants at all moments. If there was something come up, I would just wing it, and I thought that was what you were supposed to do. And I didn't really realize what being a professional brass player is all about at all at Curtis. I think there I learned how to have fun playing music and how to land when you're playing by the seat of your pants, so to speak. But Colburn is so different, so much more of a mature place. Also a very strange place, as I'm sure you maybe heard. We all live on 5 residential floors, mm-hmm. And immediately below us is 3 floors of practice rooms, and below that is our feeding hole. It's like something out of a, I don't know, 1984 or something. It's just like, it's a growth chamber in
Hogwarts.
Yeah, Hogwarts, except all the walls are white and no owls to deliver your mail.
Yeah.
But so Curtis, Colburn, vastly different experiences.
And now being at Rice with Barbara Butler,
that's incredible.
Well, because I remember from this summer going to her orchestral etiquette seminar, on Zoom, and I just feel like that could be like, that almost feels like the culmination of Colburn and Curtis too, just like learning how to just like embody what it is to be a professional trumpet player, which you already are doing, but like it just seems like the perfect place to be.
Yeah. I mean, no one will ever be as professional as Barbara Butler. She is the consummate professional.
Okay, well, hi, I'm Cristina. I have sort of moved around all my life, so I don't really have one place that I would call home. I've never lived anywhere longer than 4 years, so that's like my tagline that I say when they ask me where I'm from. But my mother is from South Africa and Argentina, and my father is American, and I've lived in South Africa and England and sort of all around the States. And it was in Ithaca, New York, that my musical journey started. I originally wanted to play the bass, but they told me I was too small, so they gave me a cello, and I really was terrible at the cello. Like, it didn't interest me. I only liked the rosin. I thought the rosin was cool. Other than that, I did not like it. And then my sister had been sort of coerced into playing tuba in her like middle school band. She's older than me. And I just idolized her. So as soon as I could play a wind instrument, I was like, I'm going to do what she did and play the tuba. She doesn't play anymore. She's much smarter than me. So she went on to a different career. I stuck with the tuba, and I ended up going to the Interlochen Arts Academy for junior and senior year of high school. And I had no idea what being a professional musician was then. I was 15, and I had never practiced more than like 20 minutes a week or something. And I started studying with this teacher, Tom Riccobono. He's actually a trombone player. And I remember like the first lesson, he said, what do you want to do with this? And I said, well, I think it would be cool to be in an orchestra. And he was like, oh, yeah, so does everyone else. Like, really? And I had never seen an orchestra ever. I didn't know that there was only one tuba player in an orchestra. But he just like kicked my butt and whipped me into shape and sort of showed me like how hard it would be to pursue that, and just really inspired me for some reason. I don't really know why, but I think that's just the magic of a good teacher. He just made me like really want to practice. So I did. I practiced for 2 years and then like randomly got into Colburn. I wasn't even like trying to go to a conservatory. I always thought I would go to university and double major and like, do something like international relations or something like that. But then someone told me about Colburn and said it was free and said there was a tuba opening. And so I auditioned, and when I got in, it kind of felt like there was no choice but to go since it was free and all of that. So yeah. And then I was there for 4 years, and now I'm at Curtis, and it's kind of crazy to just think about like 15-year-old clueless me, and suddenly I've had all of these incredible opportunities that I would have never seen coming. So yeah, and I guess I would agree with everything Noah said. It's pretty funny that we've ended up at the same schools because we met at Colburn. We met during my junior year at Colburn and his first year of his master's degree there. I started Colburn when I was 17. And I was like, I think the next oldest person in the brass section was like 21. I was the only undergrad. And it was a really jarring experience. My class, like the class of 2019 of Colburn was 9 people. And so we were just like super outnumbered, all these little babies among these professionals, really. Like everyone at Colburn is so focused on taking auditions and regimented practice and performance psychology, and they're just like hardcore. So it was cool. It was cool to be there at that age, but also not without its challenges. And now I'm at Curtis, and I'm suddenly like old, and the trombone players I play with at Curtis are all like 18, and it's just a total flip. But it's been a good experience. So.
All right, the first piece on the program tonight will be Beethoven's Duet number 27 for clarinet and bassoon. But tonight it will be performed on trumpet and tuba, and then the third movement will be performed on oboe and bassoon.
And we would like to thank Christina's professor of tuba at the Curtis Institute of Music, Paul Schwitzky, for giving us this wonderful arrangement to play, and for all 4 of us for kind of reimagining what a duo is, because normally 4 different instruments do not play a duo, and nor do we have separation and conversation in between each movement. So that has been a really fun way to put together this piece.
And it has been a very fun challenge putting together this third movement virtually. And we actually have never rehearsed this in person. So it's been all through the computer screen, which we haven't done since week 1.
Yes, Mr. Morelli and Handel's Trio Sonata. But we watched that back on your birthday, and it's so funny to think about how sometimes these virtual collaborations really get us in more of a focused mindset. Because I feel like we had a great rehearsal on Zoom the other night,
Yeah.
You're going to learn over the pandemic.
Yeah, I feel like being over the computer screen sort of it gets you into almost a more focused mindset, but even if it's a different type of focus.
Yeah.
But yeah, we hope you enjoy this.
Our long-distance Beethoven duo.
Yes.
In our dialogue.
Yeah, so like, what do you feel like are some of the biggest lessons you both have learned from studying at some of these premier institutions, and also some of the struggles that come along with feeling like you're young or old in a situation. I mean, age is really nothing, I guess, when it comes to music. But at the same time, there's things that you have to think about when you're.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this question a little earlier. And I feel like we always come back to the same thing, like together, which is just humility. That it's kind of a common thread in these places that are like seen as being so prestigious, and so like if you get in there, you have merit and you're like acceptable and you'll get into other things. But I think that if you aren't careful and you fall into that, then you'll end up complacent and you won't get any better. So I think both of us have sort of arrived at this conclusion that, you know, we just need to have humility at all times, and really be able to be self-aware and have standards that are constantly changing.
Yeah, I think that you said it perfectly. The only thing I would add to that is just learning how a growth mindset is kind of building off of what you said about our evolving standards. How a growth mindset is actually just a happier life. It's an easier life. It's a better life rather than a destination mindset or whatever the proper term. I know there is an actual term. I mean, it's really already been said. But you know, when people get into these institutions, all the growth they had to do to get there was kind of often, like for undergrads especially, we're thinking like, okay, I'm auditioning for 8 schools, 6 schools, whatever, 30 schools, however many schools you could afford. All the practice is catered towards like a destination, you know what I mean? So then once you get to that place, then you kind of have to figure out like, wait a minute, I have nothing to hold on to anymore. Like, because I got to the place that I wanted to get to. And the same thing could carry over potentially to a job where you spend all your time preparing for this, like, you know, second trumpet audition, and you get there and you get the job. And it's amazing, and you've arrived at that place, and then it's just, what are you supposed to do now? You know what I mean? And then the reason a growth mindset can help you so much is because when you don't get to the place you thought you could get to, still being able to kind of redirect and kind of just go with the wind. Like seriously, like put up your sail and just turn the boat so you're aligned with the wind. I don't know. I don't know. I think definitely for me and for both of us who've talked about it a lot, a growth mindset has been a result of the struggle of arriving at a place we wanted to get to. It's such a strange thing, right? Like when you get something you want in life, and then you get there, and like, of course you're grateful. Of course you're grateful. Of course you're happy and lucky and all those things. But what do you do now? You know? How do we cope with the ennui, the ever-growing existential, just what am I? What am I now that I've done what I was supposed to do? And so the only way to deal with that, in my experience, and some people have religion and faith, but in our experience, I think the way to cope with it is practice. And practice and having growth mindset, having this kind of mastery mindset, really, where we're thinking like, we're going to master this. And it's going to take our whole lives, and then we're not going to get there ever. But at least the roller coaster of life is going at all times, and you know, we're not stuck at a really high point and waiting for us to
nowhere to go but down.
Where there's nowhere to go. It's just, we're just going forward through time. I don't know.
It's like pleasing yourself in like your playing and performing is the hardest thing, because you're constantly changing and wanting more. So I feel like, but it's also a good thing maybe to have that as your goal, to like, you know, I don't like the way that this phrase went. Maybe this person over there did like it, but I don't like it. And I feel like that it's so important to like look inwards. I guess.
It's like the intersection of the growth mindset and artistic integrity. And how they can both kind of feed each other. feed
Yeah.
off of each other if you if you take integrity too far. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I also got, when we were talking about that, I also just got a flashback to our second episode that we did of this with Megan Pacherno, who is the current Christine on Phantom of the Opera on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
And she said, like, once I got Phantom of the Opera, she's like, I wasn't like, well, now I've done it, folks. Like, that's literally exactly what she did. And she's like, I'm always growing. I'm always moving. I'm always, like, trying to be the better version of myself. Like, it's like, we'll never have, like, like just because you're Christine on Phantom of the Opera or because you win a job in LA Phil, like that doesn't mean that you just sit complacent. Like I feel like the best artists are always trying to like carve inward and to, like find more things that they're capable of, and the mastery, like the competition with yourself, like than anything else.
The best and the happiest.
I know.
I really think it intersects with mental health.
Yeah.
I think it really does.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And then sort of switching topics.
Sure.
So I know that, Cristina, you won this Fast Pitch Award at Music Academy. And if you could just talk a little bit about your experience with that, winning that award and then writing this book.
Basically, we had Music Academy of the West online over the summer, obviously. And they came up with this awesome thing where they were giving everyone a stipend to pursue a creative project. And all you had to do to get this, $1,200 was have an idea. So I, just being me, I couldn't think of anything small. And so I came up with this idea. I was literally so afraid of it that I wouldn't tell Noah for like a couple days. I was like, I can't tell you this. Like, I just couldn't verbalize that I wanted to do this huge project because it felt way too big for me. But anyway, it was kind of born out of learning about this tuba player named Connie Weldon. She died pretty recently, but she was just such a pioneer and played with the Kansas City Symphony and played with the Concertgebouw Orchestra and was a really amazing pedagogue at the University of Miami. One day her picture came up on Facebook and I had never heard of her. Like going to all these cool schools and being pretty in the loop with the music world, no one had ever sort of told me about this person. And so I was like, I was excited, but I was also a little uncomfortable. And I was like, just very confused why this important person in history had been kind of lost. And so I had this idea to write a book about her at first, and then it sort of transformed into writing a book about more people. And so it's ended up being 14 historic women in brass. 10 of them are still living, so that's really awesome. And they've been really, really fun to work with, also really intimidating. But yeah, so, and then I did the Fast Pitch Award, and I was lucky to win that. And so they gave me a little bit more funding. Music Academy has been like so supportive of this project, just absolutely crazy. And it definitely wouldn't have happened without them. And so now at this point, I have 2 research assistants who are sort of at work. They're also female brass players, and they just sort of collect information on all these women. And then I am in the process of drafting their biographies. And right now I have also applied for Music Academy's Alumni Enterprise Award. So I'm a finalist right now. We'll see, probably by the time the episode airs, we'll know whether or not I got it. If I get that, we will, kind of be full speed ahead and be able to make this project really meaningful. Because even though like I'm compelled to do the work and it's a lot of work, it is also kind of too much work for one person. Yeah. I've discovered I like to take on really big things, and I've found that I might need a little help. So really hoping that happens for these women's legacies to be cemented in history, and so that like if I am a prominent tubist one day, no one has to write a book about me, because people won't forget about me because of my gender, so that's the goal.
I mean, going off that, from watching your video, I actually rewatched your video this morning, and I kind of teared up a little bit in the beginning, just like thinking that, I guess it didn't sink into me the first time that you're the first female tuba player at Curtis. And I'm just was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, and also just some of your interactions in the brass world with, by your project. It is predominantly male, and just I think that just really talking about some of your experiences would be good.
Yeah, definitely. Actually in my research for applying to this grant, I wanted to make sure I found a way to justify that this niche project, that it was just about brass. But what I found is that it's undeniable that the brass family is the weak link of the orchestra in terms of our diversity and inclusion. I don't know if it's because we've had, brass instruments are newer or something, or if it's that we play loudly and that's only equated with a certain type of person. But some of the statistics are kind of staggering. And there's one female tuba player in an orchestra, in a prominent orchestra, in the world. And that's Carol Young from the Philly Orchestra, who teaches at Yale. Yeah. So, and for me, I said this in the other video too, but I've never been at an audition and seen another woman there. And it's just, I've got used to being the only woman in the room, but it can weigh on you. And the sort of my tagline catchphrase thing is why would a woman believe that she can succeed when she doesn't see anyone that looks like her at the top? Why would you? And then similarly, why would a male student show respect to a female colleague or a female professional if he's never been taught by one or influenced by one? I was at an audition recently, and I did okay. And as I was excused from the audition after I did okay, the personnel manager said, "Oh, you were the surprise of the day." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Thank you so much. But it's just, I mean, it's moments like that. It's never, for me personally, I've been lucky to I haven't experienced like huge harassment or huge discrimination. But it's those little things, they get to you. And it's not uncommon at all.
Thank you so much, Noah and Cristina, for that lovely performance. It's so wonderful hearing you guys play together.
And at this moment in the program, we would just like to take a moment to acknowledge all of our donors and supporters throughout the year of 2020. And as the Marea Duo, we have created different levels of donations where we have the gold reed level, the silver reed level, and the bronze reed level. And every level is extremely valuable to us, but we are just so grateful for everyone who has contributed to making this vision a reality of bringing concerts to your home every week.
And if you would like to donate or purchase an optional virtual ticket for tonight's performance, you can head over to our website, www.mareaduo.com.
Could you tell us a little bit about what it is like to be performing at such a high level and having impaired hearing, and how you have kind of adapted to that your whole life? And I mean, it's actually really funny. I was looking into things like, we're playing Beethoven on the program tonight, and Beethoven was also had impaired hearing, and just like I don't know, just I was like researching musicians who had hearing impairment. So if you could just talk a little bit about that. And
I'm honored that you compared me to Beethoven. Yeah. So Beethoven, my hearing is not nearly as bad as his was. For me, I have, I think Beethoven had, I could be totally wrong about this. I think Beethoven had a different type of hearing loss where he gradually lost more and more hearing in his life. And for me, it was congenital. So it's one of those things where you can conceptualize what you're missing, but you don't know what you're missing because you never had it. So I can speak a little more to just kind of how I believe it impacts me in the orchestra. Once again, I can never really know because I haven't been on the other side. But I think when it comes to actually performing, I think it gives me an advantage. I think it gives me a huge advantage. And the reason that is because with my particular hearing loss, I have no access basically to the extreme upper frequencies, not even that extreme actually, and the lower frequencies. So what that means basically is that I'm unfortunately not hearing a lot of the time. I have kind of a good example of just how that could give me an advantage because a lot of times the principal trumpet has to play duets with principal strings or duets with principal winds, etc. So because I can't really necessarily hear what they're doing at all, like the most telling example of this for me, and when I really realized I had an advantage, was when I played Also Sprach at Colburn. Actually, I couldn't hear anything that the concertmaster was doing, nothing at all. And there are a lot of solos where the trumpet has to like do some like really exposed weird part, like in betwixt the very virtuosic violin passages, and I couldn't hear anything. So what that meant is that I had to learn how to read the movements, and basically most of me knowing when to play comes from like really being in touch with like all the movement that's happening. And I think it helps me. Who knows if I really have an advantage, but I think that it helps me kind of get in touch with the rhythmic and musical backbone of the music.
Yeah.
Because I'm not relying on like, okay, the violin has and then I play. It's more like they have basically how it affects my musicianship is that I rely a lot more on movement than sound in order to gauge how to play. And
One conductors.
Oh yeah, that's true. I can't hear conductors at all, like ever.
Oh, really?
In general, I feel like it's fine to not hear the conductor, but if don't tell any conductors. No, but I'm kidding. But like if I were playing like Principal Noah 5 or something, and it was like a guest conductor. So there's this weird thing where the better the conductor is, the softer they speak. And I don't really understand that. I think maybe it has to do with the growth of the ego being inversely proportional to the volume of the voice. Like, if your ego is so large, in order to feed it, people need to be leaning into you at all times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Weird thing. So what that means being in the back row is that like me leaning in isn't going to change anything. Yeah. I just I have to do a lot of, luckily, like, I haven't been in a lot of professional situations where this mattered, but in collegial situations at school, etc., all my section mates are aware, and they just kind of say, "He told you to play louder," or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not.
But the worst is when they say rehearsal 7, go, and then he's like, "What do I do?"
Yeah, and then the worst is when I have to ask a conductor to repeat themselves. Because here's the thing, right? If a conductor has a huge ego, therefore they talk really quietly, they're going to be offended if I ask them to repeat something because they're going to think I'm not paying attention. Like their words aren't the most important thing in the universe right now.
Yeah.
So I've once, more than once, many times actually, conductors have really snapped at me. And it's an interesting thing because I don't actually want to tell conductors that, hey, I have this thing. And so I need you to talk louder. I don't want to do that because I don't want to introduce bias, negative bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should probably preface this next part by saying that when I was 5, I got hearing aids. I was actually tested when I was 3 or 4. Can't remember. Nobody remembers anything from then. And the doctor was like, "He's just dumb. He doesn't need hearing aids." And then my mom was in nursing school at the time, and she was learning about hearing and how to do a hearing test. And she thought, like, I'm gonna take this into my own hands. And so she did a hearing test and revealed that, yeah, I can't hear, and I'm dumb. It's both. So anyway, so then I went back to another doctor, to an audiologist, and he said, yeah, you're right. And I got hearing aids. So that, I'm telling you that to preface the explanation for why I can't wear hearing aids in the orchestra. Because if I wore them in the orchestra, I would be able to hear the conductor. And I can't wear them in the orchestra because if you're in the pit and you're wearing earplugs, you can hear your articulation a lot more. You can hear like some weird aspects of your sound a lot, and it's also it's quite difficult to like have the same depth of ensemble skills. Because you can't really tell A, how loud you're playing, B, how loud anyone else is playing. It's all just kind of, so when you plug your ears, when something is plugging your ears, it amplifies bone conduction, and because trumpet and reed instruments like resonate in our bodies a lot. And like that's of course why we sound different to ourselves than other people. We can think we sound like total garbage and they heard angels. You know what I mean? It's because our bone conduction just kind of allows us to hear our playing really intimately. And so when you plug your ears, it kind of seals the gap, that hole in your skull where your ears are, and then it just makes your skull vibrate with quite a bit more intensity. Amplifies the bone conduction a lot. It's called occlusion. And so I can't wear hearing aids while I play because it's that basically that effect where I can't hear other people. I can't really gauge my own playing. Yeah, it's not as much as a hindrance as people like to think, and people love to think it's a huge hindrance. Like when people, seriously, like, oh my God, like when people see that I have hearing aids, they're like, oh my God, you are a genius.
Well, that's what I thought the first time when we got dinner together in LA.
Yeah, people are always like,
yeah, and I was like, oh.
And it's so nice. Like I appreciate it so much. So
He didn't know, but
I didn't know.
He plays everything. So
no, I don't. I mean, a little, not really. To you, maybe you think that.
No, it's just he
nice.
has never had normal hearing, so he thinks that everything's normal and fine, but he can't see what he is hindered by. You know what I mean?
I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Noah and Cristina, for letting us play the final movement of that wonderful arrangement of the Beethoven duo for clarinet and bassoon.
And the last piece on the program tonight is a jazz standard called Come Rain or Come Shine, written by Ray Charles, and it's been sung by many people, including Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Norah Jones, and many others. We're really excited to share this collaboration that we've done with Noah and Cristina.
And not only is Noah Dugan an incredible trumpet player, but he is also playing the piano tonight, and he does a phenomenal job at that as well. And you will also hear Cristina laying down a quarter note bass line and also playing a solo melody in the middle. And one of the things that we were really thinking about when we were putting together this collaboration was the power of the lyrics of this piece of Come Rain or Come Shine, and how it really discusses the extremes of weather and extremes of location, and how that can really be maybe a metaphor for really just showing constant love and affection and loyalty to someone during really difficult times.
Yeah, and so we really hope that you enjoy this rendition of Come Rain or Come Shine by Ray Charles.
I'm gonna love you like nobody's loved you, come rain or come shine. High as a mountain and deep as a river, come rain or come shine. I guess when you met me, it was just one of those things. But don't ever bet me, 'cause I'm gonna be true if you let me. You're gonna love me like no one's loved me, come rain or come shine. Happy together, unhappy together, and won't it be fine? Days may be cloudy or sunny, we're in or we're out of the money, but I'm standing with you. I'm with you, rain or shine. shine. I guess when you met me, it was just one of those things. But don't ever bet me, 'cause I'm going to be true if you let me. You're gonna love me like nobody's loved me, come rain or come shine. Happy together, unhappy together, and wouldn't that be fine? Days may be cloudy or sunny, we're in or we're out of the money. I'm with you always, I'm with you rain or shine.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. We've had so much fun putting it together with Noah and Cristina, and we can't wait for next week.
With the flutist, Amir Farsi, who is one of our dear friends and colleagues from the Yale School of Music, and now is a current fellow for Ensemble Connect.
And before we end this episode, please take a moment and purchase your $5 optional virtual ticket. This really means a lot to us and to the artists involved. And we hope that you have a very happy new year.
And we would also like to take this time to thank everyone who has donated in the year of 2020. It is our main priority to be bringing virtual entertainment and making virtual collaborations during this time.
Yeah, and even though, as you can tell, we are apart this week, we've enjoyed the challenge of putting this episode together. So we hope that you enjoy, and we will see you next week.
Yep, see you. Happy New Year.